Good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday, June 9, and the Sahara will be with you with the short market update. We will see together what's happening in the market, what's happening, and what we can expect from the markets. About the prices, we'll check together the geopolitical, political news, and everything that can, every update that can move the markets these days. Today, market started with somehow slightly better and positive attitude as we now hear that Donald Trump 2 hours ago, after watching the NBA, one of the NBA finals, said that we are so close to the deal with Iranian, and probably in the next 2 3 days we're gonna have this deal. And about the latest tensions between Iranian and Israel, said that I thought Iranian asked me to say to Israeli that it's over. Let's just like stop attacking. They attacked the Lebanese. We attacked. They answered. We attacked. So let's finish it here. And he contacted with this is what he said. This is what I contacted with the Bibi Netanyahu. And for now, we stopped attacking each other. That's what he says. But one thing that was very important, and one sentence that was very important, he mentioned that for a week. That was very important. I didn't see our news and medias talk about this, the word of for a week, and I don't know why, because it was very important. Sounds like he said that Iranian Israel somehow he could stop Israelis for just 1 week, and it sounds like he gave this 1 week time to Iranians that to agree with his request. And Donald Trump said that Iranians should accept all of our points, and they should, and I mean, they said that actually they accepted, and they will go to announce in the media that they accepted all this, and they're gonna give up. Sounds like what can I say? It's like a imagination. It's like a dream. If that happened, uh, considering things that we know, but maybe there are something actually that we don't know. There's something that happening on the behind, and we don't know this. Let's wait and see what's happening here. But with what we can, considering all the data information that we have, Iranian are not going to say that, okay, you know what, we gave up and we are here for you. What do you want to do? That's not something that we can expect right now from them. However, this is something that we can see in a market as a market reactions as well. Looking at the bond market, we can see that the US 10 years bond yields, despite the slight downward that we had, is still so high. I mean, US 10 years bond yields is still at 4.55%. That's so high. I mean, yeah, it's less than 4.5758% that we had on the big on Monday yesterday, but still this number is so high, and telling that the market risk premium at this level can be very dangerous. The money is so expensive, and if something happened in the market, I mentioned that several times before also. This number says that the market counting this money in the market is very expensive, and the companies and the stocks, they are increasing with this expensive money. And if something happened in the market, the reaction can be much harder. Looking at the Japanese markets also is the same. The Japanese 10 years bond yields also is up at 2.67%, while in Germany it's above still 3%. That all shows that how market counting on this risk premium of markets so far. That's almost the same in other markets as well. I mean, looking at gold price, the US dollar index price, dollar index, yeah, it's down from several weeks up, but still the dollar index is still so high, and it's trading still above 99 for the US dollar index. That tell us that the market is still counting on more expensive prices. I mean, this levels the 99.20, 99.15, the numbers that US dollar index is moving up and down around this area. That tells that we are still, so just like in the market is still so high, and we should still wait for higher for longer. That higher for longer, actually 99.90, just like it was US dollar index. 99.90 is the current price. That tells us that the higher for longer is still the base scenario for what we can see here. Stock market last night and after this lowering just tensions had somehow a positive reaction, even though the Dow Jones fell by 0.2%, S&P 500 gained 0.3%, Nasdaq closed higher by 0.9%, small cap gained 0.8% almost, while in the futures market this positive sentiment continued. Dow Jones increased by 0.1%. S&P 500 is up so far by 0.3%. Nasdaq is up by 0.7%, and a small cap is 0.5%. Today, this positive sentiment that is in the market from the geopolitical news is not the only positive sentiment. We know that the AI-related stocks also, they are very good right now, and this positive sentiment that we are getting from there is leading the market, especially in Asia. The Asia, again, the South Korea is crazy. Kospi is gaining more than 8%. Just look at the number, more than 8%. Even the Nikkei is almost 2%, but South Korean Kospi is crazy, moving amazing, gaining very hot, very good. That tells us that the markets should pay more attention to the AI and tech-based companies, as Kospi is mostly moving with these stocks and the companies. So yeah, that tells us that we should really be careful about the numbers that we are seeing there. I mean, we should watch that, not carefully by the meaning of the negative meaning, but by the positive meaning about especially about the South Korea. South Korea and Taiwan, they were the best economies so far in 2026. In other markets, looking at the cryptocurrency market, I have to say that we had some report that strategy bought slightly, but just like bought some Bitcoin that could bring some positive sentiment to the market, and a Bitcoin gained from below 60,000 to now to around 63,400. But we have the reports that for the fourth week in a row, ETFs is just like we have a cash out from the ETFs, and the cash flow is in the cryptocurrency market is negative. That tells us that we shouldn't trust that much in this current recovery that we had. So we should still be careful about what's happening. That's about the cryptocurrency market. Looking at the commodity markets, with the slightly positive news that we had, gold is slightly up towards 4,360 from yesterday's under 4,300 that we had. Silver slightly up at 60, almost $9, while oil WTI fell under $90, and Brent oil under $93. Sounds like we can have the WTI under $90 and Brent oil around $90 for today, at least before Thursday's US inflation numbers. The market should be slightly more cautious and trading at the same levels that we have currently, waiting for inflation numbers. We will see what the US inflation will have, and also what the European Central Bank meeting that we're going to have this Thursday. That's what's happening there. And also looking at the news that we had, economic calendar. Yesterday we didn't have much data to watch, but the most important numbers we had Japanese economic watchers and current index increased from 40 to 43. In Germany, factory orders fell by 3.8%. Again, signaling that what the hell is going on in Germany. That's the meaning of the signal. Sentiment of investors' confidence in the Eurozone from -16 slightly got better, but what? -13.4. I don't know what's happening in Europe. Just someone comment, tell me just what's happening there. Leading index in Canada increased by 0.1%. In Israel, budget balance fell from -3 billion to -8 billion shekel. In India, trade balance was slightly better. In French, we had the bond auctions for 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, and for all of them, we saw higher rates. Same thing that we can see in 3 and 6 months bill actions that we had yesterday in US. We can say that okay, this situation is telling us that the higher for longer is the most positive, most possible scenario for now, as the rates are still high, while New York Federal Reserve 1 year consumer inflation expectations slightly eased from 3.6 to 3.5%, but still 3.5% is high number. So far today, we had South Korean GDP increasing by 3.6%. And retail sales in United Kingdom increased by 3.4%. Money supply, M2 and M3 both increased in Japan. This can be slightly against on the inflation numbers, but that's what happened. In China, we had amazing numbers. Trade data showed import increasing by 27.4% jump. In export, 19.4%. Export was amazing, almost 20% jump. But what was very important for me, the number of the imports increasing 27%, more than 27%, while in April also we had jump increasing by more than 25%, telling us that the Chinese consumer demand, Chinese domestic demand and spending is getting better. That's why we can see the inflation numbers also increasing slightly, even though, yeah, that was part of the effect of the inflation across the board. But the demand also was very important in China because and that was the most important kind of issue that we had in the Chinese economy. We know that several times I mentioned before that the Chinese biggest issue is not about the trade war, it's about the domestic demand that we had in China. So far, we can see that's kind of the solved, but we have to have like more numbers to say, okay, that's really solved. In Germany, on the other hand, just we had in today imports increasing by one for the April imports increased by only 1.2% and exports 0.9%. Industrial production increased by 0.4%. Numbers were crazy. I don't know what the Germans and Europeans what they are doing. Okay, deposit facility rate in Indonesia has slightly increased from 4.25% to 4.5%, and I mean the Indonesia's central bank hiked the rates by 25 basis points so far. And in Saudi Arabia, GDP increased by 3% in the first quarter. Later today, we're gonna have the trade data from Taiwan. 38% market expectations is for export in May. Previous month, it was 39%. And imports is expected to increase by 37%. Previous month increased by 29%. In United States, we're gonna have NFI small business optimism. That's one of the most important numbers that we have to watch. It's important to look to check it. Check that. In United States also, we're gonna have trade data, import and export. I do expect some positive numbers there, while retail sales, beige book retail sales also is important. Will tell us what's happening in the US consumer demand. And also housing market data. Existing home sales is something that should be slightly positive by 0.2, 0.3%, but still a positive. I don't want it. I mean, I don't expect negative numbers there. In the energy market, the short-term energy market outlook by EIA is very important to be watched today. That's going to be published later today evening today. That's 4 p.m. by the GMT. That's very important for the energy market, for the energy traders, energy investors. It's very important to be watched closely. Yeah, that's what's happening in the market and what we're expecting with these numbers. I do expect the equity markets to slightly get stable before Thursday's US inflation numbers, while for the cryptocurrency market, I'm not still positive for the dollar holding above 19 bucks, 19 markets most expected scenario. For energy market, gas price around $3, WTI under $90, and Brent oil around $90. This market expectations so far for now. Hope it was useful for you. Talk to you again tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye bye.